We've been at Thousand Trails, Lake Texoma for just about a week. I think we got here last Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where it's Friday, and
it doesn't feel like a week. It's been just really nice.
It has been it's been a much needed week. Let's put it that way. Oh, and hi.
Yeah, hi.
Welcome to 54 Nights. I'm Chris. That's Terry. This morning, we are heading off to Frank Buck Zoo in Gainesville, Texas. It's honestly, I'm pretty sure it's smaller than the campground we're staying at. It's a city zoo. I don't know what to expect. I'm sure there's going to be, without a doubt, there's going to be some old school enclosures at this zoo.
I don't know, they're redoing a bunch of stuff. They got capybara exhibit they're redoing, and just a whole bunch of, they're doing a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Miss Terry here, she's been in the rescue community for almost as long as we've been married.
Yeah.
And part of being in the rescue community, she gets to hear about or witness or even be involved in things outside of dogs and cats. And one of the group rescued an owl and had it in their facility until when?
No, January, February, something like that of this year.
And why'd they get rid of it?
She was brought in. She was supposed to die, and her name is Kara, and she was supposed to die because she was so sick. She had been picked up by somebody and kept in captivity, and they weren't feeding her right, and so she was in really bad shape, and they thought they were going to have to euthanize her, but they got her brought back, but she can't be released. She's very, very imprinted on people, and so they had to find a place for her. So the Frank Buck Zoo decided to, or they chose the Frank Buck Zoo, and the Frank Buck Zoo accepted her. So it was pretty cool for Kara, and we still get to follow her on Frank Buck Zoo. And I don't know anybody. This is Wild Heart Rescue that rescued Kara in up north Oklahoma, and I don't know anybody that's there right now. I just know somebody that used to be with Wild Heart. So he's moved on to Florida, but so that's my connection with Wild Heart. But Kara is, I mean, I had nothing to do with Kara at all. I've just been following Wild Heart and got to watch her. So
we're going to wander around Frank Buck Zoo and, probably see this goofy owl. And
she is goofy. She's so cute. She cocks her head.
We'll drag y'all along with us. Okay, so she didn't get to
Didn't get to see Kara.
see her owl. It's still being acclimated. $15 to get in, senior citizen discount, because I mean,
Senior citizen is 55 and up, so we barely made it. For real, we're only 55.
so, and it was an interesting little zoo. It is as little as described.
As you described.
And really, the bear enclosures are probably, you know, what most of the zoos are trying to get away from. And those are some huge bears. I mean,
Yeah.
those guys were big.
Mm-hmm.
So,
They're black bears.
all right, I have just got to interject here for a minute. Frank Buck, fascinating character. Really, the only real tie I see is he was born in Gainesville, Texas. But, you know, growing up watching Tarzan movies and things of that nature, you know, Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, all that good stuff. Frank Buck was one of those characters, one of those people that went off into Africa and South America and gathered up animals and brought them back to the zoos, you know, with the whole safari hat and the khaki outfit. You know, whether you support that or not, that's what he did back in the 20s. He was briefly a director at the San Diego Zoo. He, you know, had an exhibition at the 1939 World's Fair. He toured with Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey Circus. He wrote several books about his exploits. He had a few movies that he acted in and produced. Those were primarily documentaries about his exploits of gathering up these animals. One film that fascinates me because I'm a big Abbott and Costello fan, he was in Africa Screams in 1949. Overall, just a very fascinating character. I wondered why this zoo was named after a guy named Frank Buck. I didn't know Frank Buck, and now I want to know more about Frank Buck. This type of thing is just something that fascinates me, the whole National Geographic Society and all that stuff. You know, back in the day, for you Disney fans out there, you may recall back in the day there was a nightclub called the Adventurers Club, and it was just basically a mock-up of an old Adventurers Society. You know, actors would come out there and play their parts. They just got back from Africa on some, you know, looking for some animal or whatever. So interesting. Anyway, back to the zoo. We're done with that.
I have to come back when we could see Kara. They've got other owls too. I don't know where they are. I don't know where they keep them. They're ambassadors. I mean,
and it's not like you'd miss it because this is a pretty small place.
Yeah.
You pretty much can do a lap around this place and be done with it.
Got to watch giraffes bonking each other. Not bonking as in don't go there. I mean, it might have been pre-going there, but they weren't actually doing that. But they were bonking.
There's a
with their heads.
huge playground here. I'll flip it around here in a minute. I don't want to look like I'm being a pedophile and recording all these kids. You can't make out their faces from this distance.
Yeah, but recording at a playground looks kind of
this is a huge playground out here.
Yeah.
And I believe there's a water park over here. It's all a part of the city park. So that was a short day at a small zoo. It was worth the trip. It was fun. We'll catch y'all down the trail.